Wholesaling real estate is the perfect way to make an active income for real estate investors in Washington. The process involves finding discounted properties, getting them under contract, and then selling those contracts to an end buyer, typically a fix and flipper, at a higher price. Now in this video, I'm going to cover how to wholesale real estate step by step in Washington by going into the strategies we've used to successfully wholesale real estate over the last decade. And be sure to grab our state-by-state guide on how to wholesale real estate in the description down below. So first off, what is wholesaling real estate? Well, wholesaling is a strategy where an investor secures those rights to purchase a property and then sells those rights to another buyer for a profit. And the most common method used to sell the contract rights is called the assignment of contract. Now, here's an example of exactly how wholesaling works. Let's say you find a property that is distressed and you're able to get it under contract at the purchase price of $200,000. Now, instead of going all the way through and actually buying this property yourself, you simply get it under contract at that price of $200,000, and then you sell the contract for $210,000. Now what you make is the difference between $200,000 and $210,000, and this is where your end buyer is actually buying it. So that difference, it's $10,000, and you earn that as a wholesale profit. And this was all without having to actually buy the property yourself. You just had to get the property under contract initially. So at a high level, this is how wholesaling works in Washington, but now let's get into the nitty-gritty step by step. Now, step one for wholesaling real estate successfully in Washington is picking your real estate market. And what we recommend to get started is to start where you're actually located in Washington. So for example, if you're in Seattle, Spokane, or Tacoma, then start in the city and county you're already living in. And we recommend this because you're already local to the area. You can drive to a property to view it when you need to. You can also meet with local real estate agents who are listing and selling great properties that you can wholesale in the area. Additionally, when you actually start in your own local market, you already know more than you think you know. You probably know the bad areas. You probably know the good areas. You probably know where new developments are going on. You know where there's homeless and crime. And all of this knowledge can actually give you an advantage against others who don't know this information, because all of these factors will affect the desirability and the price of the properties you're wholesaling, which is very important. So for step number one, I made it easy. We recommend picking your market, which is the city and county you're currently living in. Now, step two, very important, is finding 3 to 5 quality and local cash buyers in your area that you can actually wholesale your deals to. So cash buyers are real estate investors, typically fix and flippers, that are buying multiple deals per month and that want to work with wholesalers. And so what we recommend is finding these cash buyers first, so you can then find out the exact type of deals that they want and where they like to buy these deals. This way, you don't have uncertainty, you have certainty with what types of deals that they want, and you go out and find exactly those deals. Now, for example, some cash buyers may only want to buy in Tacoma, Washington. But if you're in Seattle, then we want to find cash buyers that are buying in Seattle, Washington. And this will greatly increase the likelihood of your success and allow you to get the highest wholesale fees possible. So how do you find these cash buyers? Well, let me tell you about our Google Ninja trick to find cash buyers easily and efficiently. So let's say you're located in Seattle and you want to find cash buyers there. Then what you need to do is go to google.com and type in "Sell My House Fast Seattle." And what will appear in the organic search results of Google are real estate investors who've invested into their website so that they rank organically for those search terms. And these investors do this because they want to find motivated sellers, and these investors are actually cash buyers. So we pretend to be a motivated seller who's interested in selling our house, and what happens is we find these cash buyers on the internet in minutes. So this strategy is absolutely essential if you want to find cash buyers in Washington for wholesaling. And if you want a free guide on how to best find cash buyers using this strategy, I actually aggregated the best search terms that you can use in Google to find even more cash buyers. To get that guide, just go to realestateskills.com/Google, and it's also in the description where the link is located. Now, this is just one of several ways to find cash buyers, so be sure to check out our YouTube channel if you want to learn more ways. Now, step number 3 is finding wholesale deals on the MLS. The MLS is the multiple listing service, which is the database of all motivated seller leads on the market in your area. And it's an extremely powerful tool for finding properties that you can wholesale. Now, here's my favorite strategy when it comes to wholesaling deals from the MLS. It's called our Day Zero strategy. With this one, you find all the new listings that have come on the market in the last 24 hours. And we look at all those listings, let's say there's 50, and we find the distressed listings that are in there. So there might be 5 or 10 that we want to focus on, and we give those our attention. That's the Day Zero strategy. And why we love this is because these are brand new distressed properties that need to go all cash, that need to go to investors, that just hit the market, so why not you? And if you can be first to the punch, first to the game, potentially you can get this property under contract. Now, throughout the years, there have been dozens and dozens and dozens of properties we've gotten under contract, we've wholesaled, we've flipped, we bought as rental properties because we were the first ones to call in the deal, and that agent liked the offer that we gave them. And if you want more in-depth training on this strategy and the strategies we use on the MLS, just go to realestateskills.com/watch. I made that for you. I also cover the 4 big shifts of what's going on in the market right now to make you successful at wholesaling. Now, step 4 for wholesaling real estate in Washington is now calling and talking to real estate agents. So once you've used the strategy that I told you, you've identified a property, and now you want to actually call that real estate agent who's in charge of the deal. Now, the great thing about using the MLS is that typically that agent's contact information is right there in the listing. So their phone number, their email, and you can give them a call. And what you want to do is make sure that this property is actually distressed, right? Make sure that this property is actually going to go to a real estate investor. Now, keep in mind, we only want to call on properties that are in this distressed condition that need fixing up and where the seller is in a distressed situation. Now, sometimes when we're looking at the property description, that agent's not going to tell us immediately in text that the seller's in a distressed situation. A lot of the times, that's going to come up in the phone conversation with the real estate agent. And so we need to give that agent a call. We need to figure out the seller's situation and what's their motivation to sell. And from this phone call with the real estate agent, we can also get additional information about the property, like what type of renovation does it need? Are there any special features on this particular house that the neighbors don't have? And what does the agent think this house will sell for in its best possible condition after it's been renovated? So on this call, we extract the information through this initial phone call, and we call this the discovery call because we're discovering as much as we can about this deal and the seller's motivation. Now, once we get that information, from there, we can start to analyze the deal. Now, step 5, once you've found that potential deal, you've called the agent, it's time for this step, which is analyzing the deal. And this is where we want to determine a few important numbers. The first important number is called the ARV, which stands for the after repair value. And this is the estimated future market value of the property after it's been repaired. Now, the next important number to determine is the cost of repairs. This is the estimated amount that it takes to repair the property to its best possible condition. So think about after a fix and flipper fixes up the property, what is that cost of repairs to get it in that condition that's great, that's sellable? Now from there, we decide on our desired wholesale fee, which in a lot of cases, we like to put $10,000. We feel that this is very fair for the work that we put into a deal and to assign those contract rights. And sometimes you're going to make more and sometimes you're going to make less. Now, lastly, we're able to determine the purchase price. This is the actual offer price you're going to be offering on the property and where you will get it under contract at. Now, a common formula used in order to find your maximum allowable offer, which is the maximum purchase price you can send to get a deal under contract and then to wholesale it to a cash buyer where you make your desired wholesale fee. How we start with this is we multiply your ARV by 70%. So for example, let's say your ARV is $500,000. You multiply that by 70%. You then have $350,000. What you do next is subtract your estimated repair cost. So in this example, let's say it's $40,000, and then we have $310,000 now. Lastly, subtract your desired wholesale fee. In this case, let's say $10,000. Now you're left with a $300,000 maximum allowable offer price from using this simple rule. And if you get this property under contract at $300,000, you're going to have a very high likelihood of being able to wholesale it to a cash buyer and make your $10,000 wholesale fee. Now this formula, it's called the MAO formula. It is a simple rule of thumb. And in our experience, if you want to have more competitive offers, if you want to get more deals accepted and wholesale more deals, we recommend actually using 80% as a starting point in this formula rather than 70%. This is going to allow you to offer at a higher price and make your offers more competitive and still give you a very high likelihood of making your desired wholesale fee. Now, what we use at Real Estate Skills for every single wholesale and flip deal over the last decade is we actually use our deal calculator. And what this allows us to do is pinpoint the numbers down to the cent. And it's much more accurate than using a simple formula and paper napkin math. And you can actually get our calculator at realestateskills.com/calculator, and that link is in the description as well. Now, once you've analyzed the deal, it's time for step number 6, submitting offers and negotiating. And this is arguably the most important step because you cannot get a deal under contract unless you submit an offer. And in this step, it's absolutely vital to send professional offers, meaning don't send an offer with a 60-day closing time frame when the seller has told you they want to close in 21 days or 14 days. And we need to use contract terms that real estate agents are very familiar with when working with real estate investors. For example, a clean professional offer will have terms like minimal contingencies and a quicker closing time frame, so such as a 7-day inspection contingency and a 14-day close. Now, a 14-day close is a very quick closing time frame that a lot of sellers who are in a distressed situation actually need so that they can quickly get out of the situation that they're in. Now, keep in mind, with most offers, an earnest money deposit, also known as the EMD, is very common. And this is a good faith deposit that you put down on the property and is typically due within 72 hours of getting the property under contract. Now, depending on your area, these deposits can range anywhere from $500 to $10,000, but it really depends on what's common with your area and what other investors are used to putting down. Now, additionally, this deposit is typically refundable, but always be sure to check your contract. We don't want you losing any money with a non-refundable deposit. So always make sure it's refundable. And if you want to check out the contracts that we use for wholesaling real estate across the country, you can go ahead and download them at realestateskills.com/contracts. Now, one of the most important pro tips I can give you about wholesaling real estate in Washington and being able to do this without any risk is to always include a 7-day inspection contingency in your contract. What this does is it gives you 7 days to inspect the property and 7 days to back out of the property due to the inspection. So in this time frame, if you don't like the shade of grass, you can back out. If there's more mold than expected, you can back out. If you don't find that buyer, you can back out. Now, with these terms, this will make your offer more professional. It will make your offer stand out and way more attractive when working with real estate agents. But keep in mind, we always want to be solutions providers. Meaning if the seller needs to close in 28 days, then we want to close in 28 days. Don't force them to close in 14 days, right? We want to help them, and whatever situation they're in, we need to accommodate with our terms to make the offers as attractive as possible, and so that we can all work together to close this deal. Now, in order for your offer to be credible, you always want to include a proof of funds with each and every offer you send. This is the documentation that says you have access to the funds needed in order to purchase the property. Now, there's many ways to get these from hard money lenders, private money lenders, but you need this proof of funds in order to be taken seriously and actually get your offers accepted. And if you want to download our free guide on 2 ways on how to get your proof of funds instantly and for free, just go to realestateskills.com/proof and I'll walk you through how with my guide. And you can also grab that in the description down below. Now it's time for step 7, which is my favorite. It's closing the deal and collecting your check. This is the final stage where you're going to be able to assign your contract rights to the end buyer, and that end buyer is going to officially close on the deal by paying the seller for the property. And you'll be assigning the contract by letting the title and escrow companies know the assignment terms by actually sending them your assignment contract. This contract will outline your wholesale fee for the transfer of property rights and is signed by all parties involved in order to solidify the assignment. And you can actually grab an example assignment contract that we use in our description down below. Now, once the deal is officially closed, you will either be wired the wholesale fee to your bank account or get cut a check from the title and escrow company. And now you've collected your $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000 for wholesaling that deal. And that's exactly how to wholesale real estate successfully in Washington. And lastly, from wholesaling over the last decade and being a part of real estate deals all across the country, I've learned something very important. And it's that there is an abundance of opportunity out there. And anyone, including busy people with full-time jobs, can tap into it and start building the real estate business they've always wanted. Now, I've actually created a free training that walks you through our MLS offer system process, and you can just throw in your email and check it out by going to realestateskills.com/watch. In this training, no matter where you're located, I'm going to cover number 1, the best place to find and flip wholesale deals, how to get deals on demand 24/7, 365 with predictability from the MLS, and 3, how to close on deals with buyers who are ecstatic to work with you and pay you large wholesale fees. Obviously, there's no obligation or risk to you watching the training, and chances are you're going to walk away from it with some great ideas on how to improve your real estate investing business, just like the wholesalers and flippers in our community that are using the methods to get deals around the clock. This is Alex Martinez with realestateskills.com. Happy wholesaling, and I'll see you soon.